Hello, friends. I hope you guys are having a good day. It is 2:24 over here on Best Coast time. It is your good friend, Rafa Sparza, your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster. It is a great day. We've had a great weekend. If you guys haven't caught up on the latest Verbal Tap, go do so right now. You won't regret it because we just talked UFC 240, but instead of talking UFC and MMA, we're going to talk with a gentleman today who is quite an impressive young roster already put forth on his CV. But a few things about this young man. First of all, very, very polite. Almost too polite. Kind of want to get to the bottom of that real quick. He's also a savage competitor. And we're going to ask about, because on BJJ Heroes, which is a great resource for many things, it says that his favorite position / technique is open guard. Which, I don't know, like, when they have a drop-down menu and it's just like, what's your favorite thing to do in jiu-jitsu? It's like, oh, open guard. I just wonder, like, could they have picked something else? Is that accurate? So to get to the bottom of this, we're going to talk to the man himself, Jake Watson. Jake, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. I hear you talking about open guard, and whenever we talk about jiu-jitsu, I just get a big smile on my face because I love that. I thought the same thing when BJJ Heroes put that I liked open guard. I thought, he's really catching on, because the thing is, over time, I've adhered to a bunch of different kinds of guards, right? When I was, fun story, when I first started out as a green belt, I actually only had closed guard and a triangle. It was like my coach joked with me, it's triangle or bust. And I had no passing. From like up until after blue belt, I couldn't pass the guard. I got roasted by my coach Andre Maracaba for it, but eventually I learned how to pass, and I went from doing more closed guard. We learned the bit and bullet together, actually, because when I was a green belt, my coach and I learned it sort of together, and we found different ways that it worked for me, and I kind of just developed this wide range of things I like to do. Bit and bullet will always be like my favorite technique, but for a while there I didn't like it. At the tournament I did collar and sleeve, a lot of different attacks from De La Riva. Under the leg has been a gigantic part of my game for so long. So I guess he's kind of right. Open guard really does kind of make sense for me.
But do you get a moment to like send a letter to the editor where you go, excuse me, thank you, very honored to be on the page. I mean, I do other stuff as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, def part of my game. But, I mean, would it kill you to put a triangle in there or something? Is that something that crossed your mind?
Actually it was. He actually messaged me before he made the page, and he never asked me about my favorite technique. He asked me about my results. He asked me about like my history as a competitor, as a person, what I started, what other martial arts I did, but he never asked me what my favorite position was. Truthfully, my favorite submission is an ankle lock. When I learned that at blue belt, I won so many fights against even some fights where maybe like I was winning or losing rather by 10 points, and I just pulled an ankle lock out, and I call it Old Faithful. My first win as a black belt was with an ankle lock, and it's just always been my favorite. So when I saw him put attack in the back and open guard, I was like, I wonder if the ankle lock would be upset, like if it was a person for not being included. You know what I mean?
What you should do is you should take your BJJ Heroes page, and you should cross it out like they do with MS Paint, and just put ankle lock, like...
But I'm going to write that down and put it on my Instagram story. I'm going to tag you in it, so you get the credit for the idea.
Well, the thing is like, I know the folks at BJJ Heroes, they have no issues with me other than all of them. And I feel like one of the funny things that my co-host on Verbal Tap said, I think Kevin one time said, has anybody ever thought about making a BJJ anti-heroes page? And I was like, that's genius. How come we haven't bought those rights yet? So it's only a matter of time before we just make them look obsolete with BJJ anti-heroes.
That'd be kind of funny. I like that idea.
I'm not opposed to buying websites. I have bought websites that I do not use for just shits and giggles. And I've definitely in the past bought, if there's Flow Grappling, I should buy No Grappling. And I bought nograppling.com, and the purpose of it was to repurpose some of Flow Grappling's headlines and make them absurd, and then I realized, like, there's already too much humor in what they write as is.
What's so funny is so many people tag me in this. On my post that Flow Grappling made about the results of the Austin Open that I recently competed at, they put Ronaldo Souza. he got, or Ronaldo Jr. as he's more well known, he got double gold in Fresno, and I got quadruple gold in Austin. So they put, instead of putting Ronaldo got double gold while Watson took quadruple gold, they put white Watson. So
Wait, what?
Like, it's a typo, but they put white Watson. And I thought it was so... I looked at it, I was like, oh, it's a typo. And I never thought nothing of it. People were like, dude, Flow Grappling, they put you were white. I was like, yeah, well, it's a typo. It's not that big of a deal. But it's just funny how people, like, will immediately laser focus on, like, a typo and then send you the message. It's so funny.
That's a pretty alarming one, just in the sense that, like, it makes you sound like you're a Lord of the Rings character, where you're like, oh, well, Gandalf the Grey was pretty good, but Gandalf the White was where it was really at, people. So I think it just makes it a little absurd for you. On the other side, though, they've been very good to you, so I'm not going to talk too much trash about them at the moment. But
I think that they've been great, yeah.
Well, they're not great, but they named you in 2017, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but they named you in 2017 Prospect of the Year.
They nominated me.
Oh, they nominated you. Ooh.
I was nominated for the award. The winner of the award was Keenan Cornelius, rightfully so. I mean, the kid won everything. And he's my age, so I can call him a kid because I'm a kid. He won, like, everything. And I was even, like, I was moreover surprised I was nominated because I did well at Fight to Win and some submission. I did Submission Underground. At that year I hadn't lost a Fight to Win fight out of 5, and I did really well. I got the fastest submission in Fight to Win history at the time. It got beat by a kid. A kid got it in like 4 seconds. I had it in 7.
Aren't you a kid?
No, I'm talking like a kid. I'm talking like an orange belt beat the record. I'm a young man.
Okay.
This is a child. This is like a 13-year-old kid beat the record. I'm saying kid, like, got a lot of Masters competitors in my gym. They call me a kid all the time, so it makes me feel young. They're all
you are
34.
a kid. I want to make sure you know that. I am older than you. When I look down here at your profile and it tells me that you're of the age that I need to actually be wary of when it says, is this person old enough to buy these cigarettes? That I make sure that I go, oh my God, this is a child. But to me, see, I call everybody kid. And I have, because I've always looked and acted older. So to me, people get freaked out. Like, Josh Hinger got really pissed at me once because I was like, shut up, kid. And he goes, how old are you? And I was like, well, I'm 37. He's like, so am I. And it turns out he's older than me. And I was like, that doesn't matter. I'm not.
Yeah.
You still act like a child, comparatively. I was like, you and Keenan's podcast is made by children. So, yes.
I saw funny. The moment they were talking about the person that broke into the house and Crystal Gaxiola sassed them out of the house, that was pretty funny.
Well, you know, they're baby birds at this, so it's very important that when they come through, I go, you guys get a stripe on your white belt today for podcasting. Good for you guys. But this isn't about them. This is about you. So let me ask this. You said that you harboring bad feelings toward this child that beat your record? Did you pull him back and did you go, hey, kid, this used to be my record now. Now listen here. You go back out there and you start losing, kid, because that was my claim to fame.
Okay, no, I didn't. I'm not. I don't even know this child in question's name. I just know that he did beat my record, and it was very impressive because you know what? I won my fight in 7 seconds with an ankle lock, and I was like, you know what? No one's ever gonna beat that because I beat Mackenzie Dern's record, and then I was like, all right, no one's gonna beat that, whatever. And then someone did, and I was like, how did that even happen? And it was with I think it was with an arm bar. So first of all, ankle lock, characteristically, I think I could have submitted faster because I actually tripped in my fight. No, here's the thing. I tripped in my fight. I tried to pull guard, and I fell on my butt without him, and then I got back up and pulled under again, and then I submitted. Right? So I'm kicking myself, like, man, sure. I shouldn't have tripped. I would have got it in another 2 seconds. So I wasted 2 seconds in my fight.
Listen here, but kid. White Watson, if he hadn't have tripped, he would still reign supreme.
I prefer Watson the White.
Watson the White.
Then it's more official.
I agree. White Watson just sounds like the drug dealer who doesn't have as good of drugs, but that you go to anyway. You're like, nah, I like White Watson over here, man.
I understand. I think I kind of get what you're going at.
But Watson the White is actually way better. I think it is. It's more appropriate here. Okay, so, you know, records are meant to be broken, so that's no problem. I'm pretty sure the person who saw Ben Askren and Jorge Masvidal was like, how do you, yeah, okay, yeah, you win now, because I can't beat that. I'm sure when you lose records like that, it happens. So, for you, though, you get all these great things, and you were named Prospect of the Year, or at least as a nominee, but that's got to always feel like a very, very nice thing to put on not just the resume, but to feel like an acknowledgement of your work, right?
Oh, of course. I mean, I come from our academy in Arizona. It's Maracaba BJJ. It's run by me and my professor, Andre Maracaba. We're one location. And we actually have our own tournament series in Arizona called the AZBJJF, Arizona Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation. It's actually put on by members of Gustavo Dante's academy. Mm-hmm. And it's this great thing. It's almost like its own IBJJF circuit. And we really, as a team, go to those looking to win, like, best team of the year. It's almost like what Atos does in the IBJJF. It's what we aim to do in Arizona. So I'm so used to just being there for, like, I am trying to be the people's champion of Arizona, and to be recognized on the international level, it's more like, it's good to see that what I'm doing with my professor and the team that we're growing and everything that we're doing is really paying off. It's really gratifying to know that I'm working hard and I'm accomplishing dreams I've had since I was a kid. Man, even competing as a black belt is a dream I had since I was 12 years old. So I feel like I was wearing a superhero cape when I tied the belt around my waist. It was really cathartic experience.
Well, speaking of being a child, you started as a kid. So I was wondering, as, there's a moment of you looking at this kid, I'm pretty sure we all have these regrets. So I started jiu-jitsu later in my life. I started when I was about 30. And I found there are some things that are a little more difficult when you start at 30. You have certain pros and cons. You're a little bit calmer in how you react to things. But you also are like, man, speed would be fun. So you look at things and you just kind of work around that. When you see this kid, though, isn't there a part of you that kind of sympathizes and totally understands where this kid is coming from? Because you started when you were about 6, right?
So when I was 8 years old, I went into Taekwondo. I watched UFC 65, which I don't know if you remember, but it's George St. Pierre versus Matt Hughes. George St. Pierre knocked him out with a head kick. And it was the craziest thing I've seen in my whole life as a kid. I remember I was in my aunt's house, and we were watching it on we were all in the living room huddled up. I was like, Dad, I got to do that. And he put me in Taekwondo. Just as a start, I obviously now realize Taekwondo, MMA, not the same thing, but that's okay. It really taught me how to work hard, and I think life works out pretty crazy, because I went from Taekwondo and I met a kid named Clayton Carpenter. And that's how I got into jiu-jitsu. I met Clayton, and we fought in a tournament. So, do you know who Roland Saria is?
Yeah.
Yeah, he ran tournaments in Arizona. Real, just like, if you sign up, you're going to get paired up with whoever looks like they're about your size, and then you fight. And I met Clayton. I fought him at this tournament. And there's actually a match on YouTube of me and Clayton, our very first time meeting each other, which is crazy that one of our teammates was there that day. It's crazy small world, and he just happened to train with us later, happened to have the video. And then I trained jiu-jitsu ever since. So I think as a kid, I never even knew that my life would turn out this way. But to over time, I've realized I've learned so much, just like through everything I've done, because I didn't just do jiu-jitsu when I was a kid too. You know what I mean? When I started doing jiu-jitsu 5 days a week, I did boxing and Muay Thai and even practice wrestling, and I did full MMA courses, and I was just trying to be an MMA fighter at the time. I wanted to be like George St. Pierre. But then I had a big talk with my coach, and I found motivation to just do jiu-jitsu because I was spreading myself so thin. And then here we are, years later, doing jiu-jitsu. Still, to this day.
So, let me ask this, because, again, you sound like one of those kids that you put in, they're like, well, of course, they don't have MMA classes, really. I mean, there are some for children, but at the same point, when they put them in MMA classes, and you're 6, you're still doing mostly, like, calisthenics or dodgeball or something where you're like, okay, kids, we're teaching you the principles that'll take you there. So a lot of times, there is crossover, but Taekwondo is one of the more unique ones where you're kind of learning some striking. So was that kind of where you were like, I really actually like this? Did you feel like, man, this may not be MMA, but at the very least, it's getting out the compulsion to want to go ahead and strike with people and kick?
So I did MMA from I did Taekwondo from 8 years old until around the beginning of me being 12.
Okay.
And so I got my black belt in that time, right? And Taekwondo is not the same in America as it is in, I don't know where Taekwondo originated from, but I imagine it's a little bit more strict down there. You know what I mean? What is so funny?
Black belt at doing Taekwondo. Maybe green belt at knowing where it came from, being like, what's the history on this again?
I like to think. Moving on. So I don't know where it originated from, but I know that I did it from that time span, and in that time, I mean, I really liked it. I really was still stuck on MMA, but I did have I started to have my own aspirations to do Taekwondo, but then the more I did jiu-jitsu tournaments, the more I did kickboxing fights, the more I did all this while I was so young, by the way. They had like amateur tournaments and amateur fights and stuff like that. Nothing crazy until I was like 13, 14, 15 that I started doing MMA fights like on Indian reservations and stuff like that. When I was 14 years old and when I had left Taekwondo and did MMA, I did 3 amateur mixed martial arts fights at 15 years old on an Indian reservation, and Herb Dean was my referee. And it was like it was crazy, you know what I mean? It's one of those looking back, you're like, wow, is that ethical? And yeah. And I'm glad I turned out okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay. There's a lot to unfold here, so let's take this bit by bit. When you are, don't get that excited. When you are fighting at the age of 15, and you're now, I mean, at this point, you have to have a pretty well-rounded game because you've done boxing, you've done wrestling, you've done jiu-jitsu, and you have all these different elements that you can pull from. You're saying that you're fighting as an amateur. Is that really where you see the progression going? Like, at that time, do you still think, like, yeah, I'm going to be an MMA fighter?
That was my thought when I was 15. The reason why I say it was an amateur MMA fight is because we were actually fighting without headgear. So it was like, 4-ounce gloves without headgear. We were wearing shin pads because apparently that was the dangerous part. But
everybody knows famously your shins think.
But the two, yeah, exactly, right? 2 15-year-old kids going at it. That was like my goal. When I was 15, I thought that I wanted to be an MMA fighter. And then it was actually convenient timing. 15 years old, I decided I wanted to not do MMA anymore also. So, and then I just stopped doing MMA completely.
What did it feel like to fight in MMA? Because we get a lot of guys who, when you do jiu-jitsu, there is the element of, okay, this can be used for self-defense. And then some people say, like, well, you never fought. And there are definitely elements that you're just kind of like, certain people have different feelings on it. Did you enjoy fighting at the time? Is it something that you miss doing? Like, because, I mean, grappling and just focusing on that, to me, makes the most sense. I've never had a want to be in a cage and fight someone, even though I cover it. I know that about myself, and I'm perfectly okay with it. But when you have the want to do it, and then you start to see something a little bit better, I just wonder about all of those things. Whether you miss it, if you ever occasionally tell people, like, hey, you guys want to get in the cage and just kind of see what happens? I mean, I've never fought amateurly before without headgear. No big deal. Let's just get in there and see what happens.
No, I don't miss it. I've been asked the questions by all my friends. Like, I'll see some people from high school back, like my freshman year or sophomore year of high school, are like, hey, you still want to fight MMA? Are you going to be in the UFC? When am I going to see in the UFC? The kind of like casual question. And I'm always like, no, I just do jiu-jitsu. You're going to see me on TV for a different reason. And I don't miss it. I think that if I would have fought MMA now compared to when I was 15, because when I'm 15, I was not experienced. I don't think I was experienced or mature enough, even as a person, to really understand how to calm myself down, how to approach it professionally, how to fight using all my skills. Because, I mean, those MMA fights I did when I was 15 were slugfests. I was just trying to knock the kid out. I wasn't even using good jiu-jitsu, even though I had good enough jiu-jitsu to do better versus the kids. It was like I was just trying to knock their heads off. And I think if I fought now, obviously I would be like, okay, I want to get the fight to the ground. I want to use my striking to get the fight to the ground and use what I'm most effective at. So back then I was nervous for every single fight. It was a life or death situation. I would do anything to knock them out, and I think it would be completely different nowadays. No, I don't miss it. I don't think I'll ever do it again. I just have so many aspirations through jiu-jitsu now that I think it's going to keep me going. It keeps me motivated very easily.
Where is the appeal of just jiu-jitsu solo? Because, again, this is important for me to kind of pinpoint as somebody who, when you introduced jiu-jitsu to me, I actually had the inverse version, where I saw for years, when I remember the UFC premiering and watching it and going, yeah, I'm going to stick to professional wrestling. I'm not so much with the eye gouging and, it just wasn't my bag of tea at the time. And then all of a sudden, years later, when I saw they had revamped the sport and I saw how they had cleaned it up, and I said, okay, this is interesting. And I saw the chess element of the jiu-jitsu game, and I said, man, that looks fun to me. Now, see, that I can get behind. So instead of having this, oh, man, I'm seeing MMA and I want to do MMA, it was like, no, I see an element of this that I would have never put in my life. But now I want that. So I just wonder to somebody who's been like, oh, cool, MMA seems so like the path I'm going to go down. Where does the appeal of jiu-jitsu become stronger and why?
So what happened, I'll tell you the story that happened for me. I think that's the easiest way I can explain this. When I was 15, I was doing MMA and everything, and I had lost motivation to train everything. I was doing, like I said before, I was doing wrestling, Muay Thai, boxing, and eventually everything became really just kind of, I was bored with it, and I was also unmotivated. But jiu-jitsu was the thing I loved the most to do. And Andre, my professor, was always motivating me. He was always he was like my dad away from home. You know what I mean? I'd go home and had the motivation from my own father, and then Andre would just be like an uncle. And one day, it was after I had actually won Pan Am's 2013 as a juvenile. I won, and it was like the first IBJJF tournament I won. First time I've actually done truly well in competition. And it was like a crazy thing for me. And then I just was training even less because I realized that I had talent. And Andre basically had a very serious conversation with me saying that I was undermotivated, that he was very I won't go too far into what he said because truthfully, I think it was just I took it super harsh. He basically told me that, hey, listen, you don't deserve to win with how hard you're not working. You know what I mean? You're not working hard enough to deserve the victory. You need to really see what you want to do out of life. He's like, if you want to be an MMA fighter, you have to really dig deep and be an MMA fighter. But if you want to do jiu-jitsu, because you're telling me you want to be a world champion, you can't. You have to devote your life to something like this if you want to be a world champion. And I took that, and I got really upset. I took a week off the gym because I was upset. I was like, man, my hero just told me that I wasn't doing enough. And then I came back. I remember it was in a BJ's brewery that I quit MMA. I was eating the worst burger ever, and it became worse because I was upset that I was quitting MMA. And then I went and I devoted everything to jiu-jitsu, and it was a gratifying performance at the No-Gi World Championship in 2014. I won double gold as a juvenile. And I think after that I just kind of thought, I was like, man, it felt really nice to work only on jiu-jitsu and to work really hard towards just jiu-jitsu, and then to get that result that was told me that that's what I need to be doing. And then from then on, I just found different ways to fall in love with the sport and the martial art deeper. I told Andre I wanted to be a coach under him and wanted to be a world champion. And then from there, just everything kind of just domino effect one after the other. And I've just been I'm more engrossed with the sport and what I do every single day. I think that's how it started though, for me.
That's pretty good. And I wonder if, when any time an adult, especially one that you look up to, tells you something at the age of 15, it's not easy to take. So
for sure.
I do wonder, is part of the reason why you can look back at it is just because you have perspective now. Because obviously, at the time, it's hard to sit there and eat those words, but perhaps maybe you better understand this now. And tell me if I'm leading the witness here. But I do wonder, is it part that now you can look back at it and say, yes, I did have talent at those things, and that sometimes I didn't recognize that you can get to a point where you coast on talent and allow those people who are just going to work and be workhorses to catch up with you. because I feel like that's a great perspective for a coach to be able to step in and say, and it's a hard conversation to have, but it's, those people who have those posters that says hard work beats talent are putting up that and looking at somebody like you, I'm sure, who's been working since a kid and saying like, oh, if this kid even rests 2 days doing nothing, we're going to outpace him even though we shouldn't. So is that part of how you can look back at it, or do you have different kind of interpretations of it?
No, I pretty much agree. I think that, truthfully, in my heart, if I would have said, Andre, I want to just do boxing, because he was, obviously he wanted me to do jiu-jitsu, but if I said, Andre, I just want to be a boxer, he'd be like, then you need to be a boxer. You know what I mean? He was more looking out for me as a person than me as an athlete. Mm-hmm. Me as an athlete is just part of who I am. That's a nice thing. And then Andre, he's rather, I don't know if a lot of people know Andre. Mm-hmm. He's actually, in my opinion, one of the greatest minds in the jiu-jitsu community. He's a freaking genius, and he's a fantastic person at the same time. And that's like that's what I realized after a week of talking to my mom. My mom is like my guardian angel. She talks to me about everything. I'm always like, Mom, but this happened. Like, even now, Mom, this guy's bullying me on the internet. She's like, just shut your computer off. It's easy. But
who's bullying you on the internet?
No, it's a joke. I'm just not getting bullied on the internet.
I want to be very clear. Like, I don't know if these people need to see a highlight reel or something, because we can very quickly.
Plot twist, it's you. But no, it's just, that's what kind of, I think even at 15 I realized, okay, he's just trying to look out for me. You know what I mean? But now, looking after my relationship has even furthered with Andre into being more of like, he's like one of my closest friends, and I have to look out for him as well. I also understand that now I just understand. You know what I mean? I get what you're saying. I totally agree with you.
Yeah. I mean, I've worked as a coach for a number of people in both athletics and in academics and in a number of different competitive settings. And I think one of the hardest conversations you can have with somebody that you can see their talent and they may be so young that they may not even have full grasp of it is having those real conversations of, listen, I see your projection. I know where you're going. And if you listen to me, I can help you. But if you're not interested in being helped, you'll figure it out eventually. But here's the good news. You figured that out at 15. Consider all of the head trauma that you saved yourself. Consider the amount of injuries that you probably saved yourself from those aspects, so that when you really, really knew at that time, and not a lot of people know they exactly want to do the thing they're going to do at 15. And a lot of people take different routes as to getting to where they're going to be. But it's so nice and refreshing that you came in at that age where you said, as soon as I'm done with school, or as soon as I'm done, finishing out being a juvenile, that's going to be my profession, as being a world champion at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So that even though I'm pretty sure the waiting staff at BJ's that day probably didn't like who you were either, I'm pretty sure it's pretty fun. I mean, who remembers? Like, Raph, I was at a BJ's, and I'll tell you, I was having one of the big and tasty burgers. The bacon wasn't that good, and I love bacon,
I was going to get a deep dish pizza, but then I remembered a memory from a long time. I was like, I can't get the pizza. They're going to make fun of me if they hear about it. Because there was a time. Do you want me to tell the story about the deep dish pizza? Because, I mean, I was with Gabe Kirk, Kamwela Kirk at like Worlds Nogi 2012, and he was competing as a blue belt, and I just remember they were making a joke about the deep dish pizza, and they said, anybody ever gets this pizza, it's like, you're never going to hear the end of it, because it was a joke about the Parmesan cheese, and I don't remember all of it, but I remember that I couldn't order the pizza, so I didn't get it.
What did they do to you?
They didn't do anything. They just told me that
I
couldn't.
Yeah, they did. You don't even remember why you couldn't have the deep dish pizza. You're just like, I don't know, man, I can't have it. They told me I can't, so I better not touch it or look at it or think of it.
Oh, like it's a secret CIA operation, like I was held captive in the woods or something?
They waterboarded you not to have deep dish pizza, and you can't remember why.
I could defend myself, don't worry. I was 13-year-old prodigy Jake Watson.
I'm just entertained because I'm thinking to myself, like, listen, maybe the reason you're not supposed, if you had said, Raph, they told me not to get the deep dish pizza because of it has 1,000,000 calories, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. You're probably gonna end up going up a weight class or two if you end up doing that.
Not worried about that. I'll eat. That's a challenge for me. You know how much I love food, Raph? I love food. Food is like, on top of like the other hobbies I have outside jiu-jitsu, I love like I want to learn how to cook, and I want to eat as much food as humanly possible. I want to do the Michael Phelps diet challenge. I'll like pick a Saturday and just do it in one day and see if I can eat like the Michael Phelps diet. You know what that is?
Yeah, no, I'm aware.
I want to try it.
Young man. The reason I ask is this. Like, what do you weigh right now?
I'm 188 right now.
Okay. All right. I have a certain level. I'll be very frank with you on my perspectives on training. So I'm an actual fat kid. I'm jiu-jitsu fat, which is like...
Are you a kid, though?
No.
Oh, sorry. You said fat kid, so I was like...
No,
okay, carry on.
I get it. Okay. So, no. You know when the people, like... The thing that I hear from personal trainers all the time, or people who are in shape, is they always go, oh, I'm a fat kid at heart. And I'm like, that's a lie. And they'll be like, what? And I was like, that's a lie. That's something you say to be more relatable to people who are actually fat. So stop with whatever you're talking about. They're like, oh, I just love food. It's like, you don't look like it.
Yeah.
You look too in shape to have any kind of authenticity. And I'll ask them, like, what's your favorite food? So I will ask that to you because you're in good shape and you have to be an athlete. And, you know, your body's a temple and all that sort of stuff. What food that you like is the worst for you?
Ooh. Okay, so if you would have just said favorite food, I would have said pasta. I love pasta.
Okay, that makes
Mikey Musu Messi loves pasta. I like burgers a lot. But the food that's worse for me, I love cinnamon rolls. I used to have cinnamon rolls on my birthday. My mom would make it for me like breakfast in bed, and she'd bring it. Like, happy birthday! And then I'd go to school and feel like garbage.
It's pretty funny.
Other favorite foods, though, I don't really know. I mean...
See, fraud. I just want to make sure that people know that when you say you like food, I want to be very clear. You better have your really, really bad foods.
You are trying to make me pinpoint my favorite food. A true fat person, a true fat kid at heart, quote unquote, just likes food in general.
Yeah, but you know what they could do?
On you. No, joke's on you.
Me.
Joke is on you.
The
joke is now on you because I like all food. I don't discriminate against foods like you. You're a food discriminator. That's what you are. You're foodcist.
That's not even a word, so let's not even go there. I want to make sure that you're clear on saying, hey, what's something that's high calorie that's bad for you? And you go, cinnamon rolls once a year? And I'm like, ooh, what a fat kid there.
See, now you're trying to put words in my mouth.
I'm not putting words. You literally said those words.
Have you seen Scooby-Doo 2? Have you seen Scooby-Doo 2?
I'm gonna not dignify that with a response, but go ahead, sir.
It's just when they're interviewing him and they're like, "You're gonna try to make it look like I think Coolsville sucks," and then when they put it on the newscast, all they put is, "I think Coolsville sucks."
I want to be very clear right now. The young man on this call right now felt he was under pressure, argumentatively. Then, as a form of rhetorical rebuttal, decides, Ref, perhaps you're familiar with Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed.
You do know it, then.
I know everything about films, I've just never seen it. You know why? Because I'm not a child. But I love the fact that you're like, well, Raph, as per Scooby-Doo 2, you are not accurate because, oh no, that's a bad reference. So anyway, I just want you to know, in the future, when someone asks you, what are your credentials as a fat kid, I need you to have an answer. If you're going to say cinnamon rolls, I will say, like, bless this child, for he understands what a true treat is. Pasta's not a bad answer, honestly. Yeah. It's just, you can get away with having pasta once in a while with, the kind of workout regimen that you have. Burgers, not bad. We've got a few people here that have chimed in, and I believe this is a good time to go ahead and bring up some of those notes. One of which was Scott Lavelle that said, Jake, check your pizza pockets.
People, okay, so Scott has known me for a while, and I think he's just trying to reference the fact that I'm a kid, right? The pizza pockets are it's kid food, man. I mean, the pizza pockets, you know what those are? It's they take them out of the oven and they're really hot no matter.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
man, they're so hot. It's like the gates of hell inside of this little dough pocket with marinara sauce. And I think that he probably has just made jokes. Like some people at my gym think that I spend my time outside the gym eating video games.
I hope
playing
not.
playing video games and eating fruit snacks. That's like a big thing that people think that I do because I'm the baby of the gym. They've known me since I was 12. So they're like, Jake just goes home and he plays video games and eats fruit snacks. That's like the big meme that people bring up to me.
Well, okay. Speaking of which, Gabriel dos Los Santos just put this in, or De Los Santos. Sorry, my Espanol was taking over, and he says PB&J with crushed Doritos.
Yes, that was something I used to do when I was a kid. You can also, there's a guy named Lynn Ramsey who does the same thing. I used to crush Doritos and put them in a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I used to stack two of them on top of each other, and I would put a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, another one of identical measure, and then I put jelly on top of one of them and peanut butter on top of the other, and the crushed Doritos in between, and I'd stick them together. Double-decker peanut butter and jelly sandwich. If you're ever feeling especially fat, ladies and gentlemen, that is a true Jake Watson special. You're looking at me like you're judging me right now.
No, here's what I'm really thinking. It's a miracle you're an athlete. All right.
It's all up here, baby. It's all up here.
I just enjoy the fact that now people are putting in requests here. Gabe, he does have some nice moves, doesn't he? So they seem to be talking about that. Somebody said, wow, this guy's really about that life. So that's good to know. This is what you do, ? Michael Martin. I don't know what that's about, but I guess so. I guess people are a little bit of, I don't want to see how the sausage is made, honestly. So
no, it's not. I don't do this all the time. These are like cheat things. You know what I mean? Like I try to adhere. I'm trying to be better about a professional athlete diet. I actually work with Tim McClellan. He's my personal strength and conditioning coach, and he helps me with my diet and everything like that. He did tell me, he's like, hey, every once in a while you should eat a box of pizza. And I'm like, what? He's like, no. He's like, trust me. Like, you need to do this because you're going to get so tired of eating perfect throughout the week, and you're 21. Eventually, I'm going to tell you to not do that ever again. He's like, but right now, your metabolism is so quick that, and you're training for like 6-7 hours a day, you're going to need to level it out every once in a while, have a cheat day like every other week or every week. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not going to argue with that. The man said so. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had run so much in soccer for 11 years that I famously said for about a good 10 years after that, my metabolism still kept up with me, and then one day it just gave up. It said, we've carried you for a while, Raph. You should be obese, but you did soccer for so many years, you're not. And I was like, oh, thank you. Oh, okay, good.
Thank you for all these years.
Yeah.
You guys did great.
It's really you guys that make me who I am. Thank you very much. 11 years of soccer. I'm intrigued on this. All right, so let's start to get over to the transition to you being an adult competitor. I want to ask this because now we're at the point where you are a black belt practitioner, but before then you were tearing it up at purple belt. You had a nice run at brown belt. What has changed for you most? Like, what has been the most difficult thing as you've transitioned between the belts?
I think difficulty-wise, I mean, the level changes. You know what I mean? Ever since purple belt, I've been competing against the guys like Keenan, Ronaldo, Levi Leary. All those guys have always been like rising up with me, and I've had wars with them. So it feels like I'm fighting the same guys. I mean, the time difference between the matches is big too. Overall, I went on I did a big evolution. In purple belt, I had the benefit of my coach and my parents, and they helped me to compete in 24 tournaments, not 24 IBJJF tournaments, but 24 tournaments that year. And I did really well throughout the year. I learned a lot about myself as a competitor. I got a lot better. I got a lot more experience on the mat. And then brown belt, I didn't do as well. I actually I was working security at a country bar on the weekends for like 5 of those months, and man, that was the worst. It was just a bad idea. I don't know why I did it. I actually remember American Nationals. Yeah, but like I didn't really need to do it. You know what I mean? I did it more for the experience to say, hey, I did something else. See if I like doing anything else with jiu-jitsu. And the answer was no. I went to American Nationals 2018. I got tapped out by a competitor who I had beaten a lot before. I'd never lost to. And I beat him to the point where I'm comfortable against him, and then I got submitted in 14 seconds because I didn't even want to be at the tournament, man. And it was just like, if I'm being honest with myself, I didn't even want to compete. And my professor had another talk with me. He's like, listen, this is not like you. He's like, you you just get what's wrong. And I didn't even tell him what's wrong. I just called my boss and I was like, I quit. He was like, wait, what? He's like, but I thought you were coming back Monday. I'm like, I am. I'm putting in my 2 weeks, but I don't want to work there anymore. And that was kind of brown belt. The struggle for me as brown belt was like more personal than it was competitive wise. But I ended my time at brown belt very well, I think. And then black belt, like, I feel like it's going to be a big growth period now that I have like the rest of my life at black belt rather than 2 years at a time. Because, I mean, purple belt I learned how to pass the guard. Brown belt I learned how to manage my energy. And black belt I'm going to learn jiu-jitsu, you know? Like, I'm actually going to learn jiu-jitsu now.
I'm curious because I'm not a huge country music fan, so
I like how that's what you settled on.
I mean,
I'm not either.
Okay.
Here's why. Okay, whiskey. It's called Whiskey Row.
Okay.
It's a bar that tries to be a country bar. It's like a guy. It's like a guy who meets a girl who's in a country and then starts wearing cowboy hats and button-up denim shirts and stuff like that. It's not a country bar. It just really tries to be. So we got like guys who are part of country bands and they sing on the stage, and then at 11:30 it turns into a nightclub. And it's the weirdest thing because you get this mix of families who are just trying to enjoy a good night and a mix of people who are from college in Mill Avenue in Tempe, which is like a college town.
Yeah.
And there's like fights between like an old man and a 21-year-old kid. It's like, dude, this is so weird. And I never got in one fight there. I was usually the really nice guy who's just joking with people. I've been called horrible names. Like I got called pathetic. That was a bad one because I started laughing at him because I was like, man, I was like, you reached deep in your vocabulary for that one, didn't you? How am I pathetic? And he was like, you're just pathetic. You listen to your boss. I was like, okay, you obviously don't have to. Yeah. He was like, my boss was next to me. My boss was next to me, and he was telling the guy he needs to leave, and I was like, yeah, you need to get out of here, otherwise we're gonna have to get PD involved. And then he was like, you're pathetic. You listen to your boss. Who listens to him? He's like, look at him. I'm like, he's my boss. He pays me money. Like,
well, he's super pathetic.
Yeah. You listen to a more pathetic person than yourself. Therefore, you are pathetic. I don't know. I don't even enjoy. I live right next to it, 2 minutes from it. I don't enjoy that even going in that place. It's just it's a part of my life that I think I grew a lot from. Made me realize I don't want to do anything but jiu-jitsu. It's very easy to see that I was like, okay, I can't do anything else. This is like actually proof that I don't want to do anything but put on a gi every day and teach people how to do what I do and also do what I do. So
good for you. I've said that terrible jobs can be the best motivators, and they become part of your backstory. They become fun stories. So I've worked at gigs where I've literally walked in and go, well, you're going to be a fun joke on the podcast, but you don't know that yet. Yeah. And I usually, like, it's like when I do memes on training partners, there's usually an embargo that I put. It's a self-imposed embargo because I don't want to make people feel too bad. But I've had a lot of my training partners who go, was that meme about me? And I go, no. But there was another meme I made about you specifically, and I won't tell you which one it is.
And I'm going to post it, and I'm going to leave it ominous.
I mean, I always just put it out there because people relate to them. And that's the whole point, is we're supposed to make light of the absurdities that we all go through. I mean, there's a lot of funny things that happen in our sport, and so it's best to just kind of have a good sense of humor about it. But, yes.
Will I have a meme about me?
Very possible.
Okay.
Did you want one?
No, I don't, because I don't trust you. But if you do make one, tag me in it, and I'll share it.
It sounds like you want one, even though, you understand that you're like, wait, are you winking as to make a meme about you, or
wink.
Don't?
What's a wink? I don't know what that is.
Oh, God. It's so confusing. It's like I don't know if I'm
signals, dude.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm supposed to steal third base now or what, dude.
Well,
Jesus.
We're across the camera right now. Closest thing you're gonna get is like hard eye contact and maybe like a wave. That's about it. That's about all I can do for you.
I don't think that's what you think it means.
No, I know. I know. I'm not like stupid.
Okay.
I know what the bases are, my guy. Are we gonna get into that? Is that how far we're gonna get into on this interview?
I don't know. You're the one that's leading us astray now. I literally said
You led me astray by
batting
bringing up
signals.
something.
Batting signals are within the wink. Oh, hey, womp womp. Like that's you do.
like the guy who is doing this at the batting like that, and the guy who's crouching at the home plate going like this and doing all this stuff.
Well, it's clear I'm never playing charades with you, so that's good. Gabriel de Los Santos chimes in and says, "Have him beatbox."
Oh, jeez. I didn't even. Of course, Gabriel's gonna put some. I can't beatbox super well anymore, but it's like I can do that. Ta-da!
Where did this come from?
I was just super. I'm into music, man. I really want to learn how to play the guitar. I want to learn how to play instruments just as a hobby. I used to watch old beatboxing videos of like competitions when I was a kid, and I was like, dang, it's sick. This whole thing to do the record scratch is like, actually not that hard. I tried teaching Gabriel, but he sucks at it. And I just learned how to do that. Like, it's you just basically sucking in, you're pursing your lips and sucking in, and you're just making like a zipper noise. But I really wanted, when I was little, I used to do all those kind of things. I learned how to do like the throat bass, like the dubstep noise and the trap music noise, and that was just I just liked to beatbox when I was younger. One of those weird things.
That our comment section is turning this into an episode of America's Got Talent. They just
Heck
keep
yeah.
telling me, they're like, have him do this, and I was like, he does this. What else does he do? Well, like when you said the thing that concerned me though was when I go beatbox and you go, I lost it.
And then I brought it back.
Well, you did bring it back, but when someone says I was a different person then. I was 7 years old, Raph.
That was a long time ago. I can no longer perform the sacred art.
You're okay. You know,
I'm all over the place.
I've seen you compete before, but I didn't know you were all of this. Like,
I mean, a lot of people talk to me at tournaments. They're off put by like how open I am. Like, I've had like conversations with Dominique Bell, who's great personality.
Mm-hmm.
And after he beat me, and I was broken up about it. I went in the corner and I cried, whatever. But then I came back and we had a big conversation about the match, and he was like, I didn't even know that you were like this open about matches, because I like to talk to people. I like to make friends through the community. Mm-hmm. And I think that just like making a difference in like kind of people's lives in that way, one person at a time, eventually I'm going to be known as like a true champion of the people just by who I am. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's a stigma about top level competitors where you see their Instagrams, it's like, check out this, and I am super intense, and look at me, I'm no fun, no games, we're doing it. And I'm over here like, hey guys, check it out, I'm wearing 2 sunglasses on top of each other. And I'm like, I like to be like a top level competitor. I like to compete. I love to win. I'm gonna be a world champion one day. You heard it here. I'm gonna be a black belt world champion because I really believe I will. But if I can't have fun along the way, then what am I doing?
There's nothing wrong with it. I enjoy it. In fact, personality is good. It's just, it's a lot. It's more than I thought, because I didn't necessarily come into this interview, even doing research, thinking this man should beatbox for me, and I'm going to goad him into it. However, now we're getting to a very real part of the conversation, and I hope you understand I am going to force you to do this. Because you gave a little bit of a hint in the way that you were modifying your voice. Now, I used to teach speech and debate, which means I used to teach people how to perform. And It appears that people in here are saying that you do impressions. And it says he might be better at impressions than he is at jiu-jitsu. I believe that's a bold claim because you're not on impressionheroes.com. So I would like to hear some of these impressions.
So, I mean, I can do I can do some impressions. I can do an impression of Bernardo Faria really well. Okay. And this is all respect, by the way. I love all these people.
No, it's fine.
Bernardo's like, okay, guys, so look, we're going to do a technique today. Of the technique that week is going to be BJ Fanatics. We're going to do the choke from the front. I'm going to grab his arm, and look, when I post his arm on the mat, I want to go around in a way that's going to be safe for my legs to not. You get the idea. And that's the Bernardo Faria impression that I do.
Don't tell me you get the idea. Okay, what we're going to do is I'm going to teach you how to do this right. What you do is you create a bit. and you have to have an exit, okay?
Okay, so if I'm going to perform the impression, I have to have a punchline.
Yeah,
Okay,
you have to have, like, what is your closer. You know, you need to have something that's going to get you in and out of the impression. You don't end the impression by being like, you get the idea. Like, comics don't get up on stage and go like, that's enough of that. You're welcome. So,
I guess that I didn't realize I was performing an impression from you. I thought that I was more just giving you an idea of what I do.
No.
Not good enough?
No.
Okay.
You gotta, it's like the airline pilot that was just like, I was just showing off. I didn't know I had to land the thing.
Okay.
You guys with expectations. So,
I will now work on this with my Bernardo Faria impression.
No, it's not bad. It's a little Kermity. But other than that, it's pretty good.
I'm trying to level that out, you know what I mean? Because I watch the BJJ Fanatics and I see it and I try to do it better.
Here's what I love about it. You embody the heart of it. And so what I tell people is there are certain impressions that I do that I go for accuracy. Daryl Hammond famously said this where he goes, you know, I have a really, really good Sean Connery. And it was really authentic. And then I got on the Celebrity Jeopardy kick and I would just be like, well, your mother's a whore. And he's like, and people just like that better. And I would just remember being like, oh, yeah, because he's somebody who can do it really pinpoint perfect. So there is that. Somebody put, like, asterisk trick, and I don't know what that means.
Asterisk trick.
Asterisk trick. So, I don't know. A trick is something a whore does for money. Or candy.
Oh, yeah. So they're trying to say, instead of, your mother's a whore, they're trying to say, like...
Oh, your mother's a trick. Oh, whatever. All right, well...
And he's Scottish, so he's like got this crazy like accent here,
that's
like that. You
good.
know.
The hard part is I do older Sean Connery, and what I do is I do a monologue or a dialogue, I guess I should say, between him and Nick Cage in the movie The Rock. Are you familiar with this movie?
So I saw it a long time ago, but I love Nick Cage. I love his like that kind of.
Pretty good.
So, ew, like really gross all the time. He always looks like he's in a state of like being grossed out by something. You know what I mean?
So the Sean Connery that you're supposed to do is Sean Connery is supposed to be like he has this monologue. It's one of my favorite ones, and it's one that I say to athletes sometimes when they don't win, if you would. And he comes over and he goes, "They're bashed. Losers always complain about they're bashed. Mothers go out and fuck the prom queen." And then you hear Nick Cage. Nick Cage comes over and he's like, "Rachel was the prom queen." And to
That's really good.
Yeah, thank you. And between the two, I do this one thing. If I didn't fuck up the joke, it'd be even better. But I want to do one for you because I want to give a gift back to you. Okay.
Okay.
And I want this impression. I wasn't thinking about ever doing this because I had a completely different idea of where I would kind of take you on an interview, but you did seem to indicate in our early part of our interview that this person played a huge role in your upbringing. So I'd like to give you a moment to really like connect with the person who made you almost become a mixed martial artist. So right now I'm going to have you talk with GSP, and I want you to really, really ask the questions you would have wished you could have asked at either 6 or 15. Go right ahead, sir.
So... George, I'm a huge fan. I just want to say that right off the bat. And when I was younger, I was infatuated with the way that you took the fight to the ground. Could you please, just for me, just once, repeat what you said to Matt Hughes before you fought him the second time?
I want to tell you right now, thank you very much for asking GSP me the question of what I said to Matt Hughes. What I said was, Matt Hughes, I am not impressed with the caliber of your performance. And scene. Everybody knows that joke. Period. Done. And
that was impressive.
Thank you.
That was good. I feel like if you want some constructive criticism, ironically,
go for it, kid.
Make it slightly more Kermit the Frog. I'm not impressed by your performance.
I'm gonna go ahead and put that in the archives. You know what the funniest part is? I have people who send me GSP jokes all the time, and I'm like, I've cornered the GSP market for about a good 7 years, kid. And they were like, really? I was like, yeah. Episode 1 of Verbal Tap, 7 years ago was literally me saying, like, we'll never interview people, so I'm just going to do impressions of people. And then all of a sudden we found out, we're like, oh, people listen to this?
Mm-hmm.
And then I found out, I was like, yeah, well, then I realized I was like, oh, shit. And I have a policy of, I don't do jokes behind people's back. So if I say a joke about you, I will say it to your face. And in a mixed martial arts context, the thing I found out that was great about that was mixed martial artists get punched in the face for a living. So they don't care what jokes I have. And a lot of the times I'm not saying, like, you suck and this is it. Like, they would recognize I would have an actual joke that would be something that they go, oh, okay, that's pretty funny. And they'd have a good sense of humor about it.
How's your Christopher Walken? Because when I was a kid, I like worked on it for years, and like I really wanted to be good at Christopher Walken impression. And that's like everybody tries, right? Like everybody, like there's some people who do it really well, like Kevin Pollak, and like even Bradley Cooper can do a pretty good one. But
it's not bad.
It's not bad.
I teach, and mine was okay. I was around people who were doing nothing but Christopher Walken impressions, and that made me not want to do it. But
oh, really?
I did teach people, because there's trigger words or trigger sounds that should jump you into an impression. So that's why if I ever say, do an impression, you should be able to do it. With Christopher Walken, it's wow. So you have to go, be like, hey, oh my God, you were so good in Catch Me If You Can. Wow. And then you go into Christopher Walken.
Wow.
It's pretty good.
Catch Me If You Can. Such a good movie. I worked Leonardo DiCaprio. So good actor. But so young. So naive. I think if you're an actor and you're going down that road, gotta be good. Gotta work hard. And I don't know him.
Tell me about a watch. You got a watch?
My dad had a watch.
God.
It's crazy. He had this watch the crack of his ass for years. It was my daddy's watch. Forgot the quote.
Yeah, I know. No, it's good.
Oh no!
Hey, you know what? Here, you got it. So here's what I'm gonna say. Very good. I actually think your Walken is better than your Bernardo.
Well, the Bernardo's new. I'm still working on it. I think every impression you gotta fine tune. You gotta round out.
So here's what we're gonna come to an agreement to do. I'm just gonna write your bits for you.
Awesome.
And then you're gonna be money, because I feel like once you have your bits written out and you have your ins and your outs, you'll get out and you don't have to worry. Because that Walken was looking around like, where do I go? Oh, and I was just like, oh God, stay with me.
Stranded.
Now, mind you, for the physical embodiment, the last part of this, and we're gonna move on. So the people who are just like, is this the fucking comedy hour right now? What I want you to do is you got to be able to stare directly into this camera and give like a maniacal kind of like look. Yeah, no, not cross-eyed, but as you look into the camera, you have to be able to do this, and this is a very Walken thing, where you'll be like, this watch, and then as you do it, you got to look at them like they're crazy for even suggesting anything about that.
Okay.
You get me?
I got you.
All right.
And it was like that a lot. Like,
yeah, it's a lot of. If you winked before, which by the way, I didn't.
No, it's not a wink. It's like a slight like that. You know, it's not a wink. It's not a full wink. It's just like a crazy person, like
a twitch.
Yeah, like a twitch. It's like a twitch. Yeah, he goes like, wow, like that. You know, like my eye, no control. Sometimes just have a facial twitch. It's crazy.
I see why they keep you at the gym, so that's good.
It's for entertainment.
Oh, 100%. They just wind you out. They're like, I mean, he passes okay, but keep him around for his Walken. If you really want to mess people up and you really want to become a world champion, here's what you have to do. Pass guard as Christopher Walken and see if they can stop it. Because one of the things that I find that I have a very, very realistic understanding of my jiu-jitsu, and part of that is when I say to people, I'm like, oh, I'm not good, but if you talk shit, I'm going to win. Because I'm way better at talking shit. And it turns out when I talk shit and I'm trying to pass guard, somehow I'm a little bit better than I was when I wasn't. For some strange reason, it's like I pass guard. For some weird psychological, I've hurt you in deep in the soul reason. So No big
Okay.
deal. So just see what happens. You tell me. You come back in a year's time and you tell me, like, Raph, I won Worlds as Christopher Walken. Who knew?
I was talking about a pocket watch the whole time. They were like,
We're so confused as to what to
like
do.
what?
I'm curious
Pocket
about
watch.
this.
I don't know what that is, man.
There's two things we haven't gotten to yet that I would like to get to, and I'd like to transition. The first of which is I see a Batman, a little comic book that's framed on there. Can you tell me more about this? You don't have to pull it off.
I'm pulling it off.
Ugh.
So, what do you mean, ugh? You asked about it.
I
So
did
my brother
ask
got-
about
my-
it.
My brother got me this. I'm actually, like, I used to be more of a fan of Batman. I'm not a comic book fan. He just got it for me. So, you asking a question about that is more just like, hey, man, I really like your Batman thing. I don't know much about Batman. It's just a really nice poster. It's got Poison Ivy on the front and Batgirl, Catgirl. I don't know.
All right, moving on. All right.
Okay.
I just thought for a split second, the reason why I went, ugh, is because I didn't want you to actually take it off of the thing.
Well, I mean, I can put it back up.
I know it's framed, but I just thought it looked nice. All right, let's go to the other one. Clearly, this headset tells me you're a video game player. So what video games are you playing? Because it seems to be the mind getaway of choice for jiu-jitsu athletes.
I play Street Fighter V. I play it competitively. Little do many people know. I play Super Smash Bros. Melee. I play a little bit of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but that game is kind of whatever.
Wait, why? Why is it just whatever? I don't know.
So Melee has a very high skill ceiling. People call Melee like a beautiful accident because it's got so many technical inputs you can put in it. The way characters fall is faster. It's not as floaty. It's not as kid-friendly. It's got a really high skill ceiling. Ultimate has been dumbed down because the audience of Smash Bros. Players has turned younger and younger over time. So it's not really that. It's not as competitive as Melee is in terms of like a skill ceiling. But I really enjoy it still because, I mean, when I was a lot younger, it's how I met a lot of my friends outside of jiu-jitsu anyway, is just through a mutual interest in the game. And Street Fighter, I just love Street Fighter, always have. I like playing Mortal Kombat. I like playing a lot of fighting games. I'm more of a fighting game guy.
Tell me, well, clearly, if you're doing jiu-jitsu and you wanted to fight MMA, now you just fight people
Artificially.
Artificial astroturf.
Virtually.
Let me hear the characters you played. Street Fighter. Who's your guy? Who's your guy or gal? Who?
Urian.
Urian. Okay.
You know Urian?
I don't think so.
Urian, he's a guy with the headbutt. He jumps and he headbutts in the air. He's wearing a suit. Super tall dude.
Oh, okay.
He wears a suit. He's got gray hair. Yeah, Urian is my guy. He's a sick character.
Sorry.
He's got a Hadouken that goes slow, fast, and then up at an angle, so you can read someone. If you know someone's gonna jump and you shoot it, it's like I read you like a book. It's called making a good read. It's like when you make a good prediction in jiu-jitsu and like you're passing one way and you know they're gonna throw the leg over, and then you time it, you go the other way. Don't laugh at me. This is how I relate.
What do you mean? Oh, don't laugh at me. You're the one that's like, I knew you were gonna jump. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you hit him, and then you win, and then it's like, I do that.
You
I
just-
do that.
I
Read
again-
you like a book. I saw right through you.
It's just, I didn't know that you came pre-packaged with like Arnold Schwarzenegger one-liners for both jiu-jitsu and video games. That's like, "Nice to see you."
I see right through you.
Very good. Yeah, you know what the nice part is? I recognize now. Your vocal has a lot of different. It's a very versatile voice, and you're able to pull stuff. So normally when I tell people, I'm like, oh, they're in my range. Like I can hear an impression and go like, yeah, that's outside. I can't do that guy. That's kind of part of the reason why when I first heard Dana White talk and I turned him into a caricature, it was because I just embodied what it was that Dana White was doing when I would work in press row. And I would hear him be like, hey, you fucking dummies. And I'd be like, yeah, that's Dana. Yeah, okay. He comes in and he yells at the whole press row like it was when GSP was just announcing that he wasn't going to be fighting anymore, which means that Dana was the last to hear of it when GSP was just like, all right, I think I need to go away. And then all of a sudden Dana comes back pissed as hell. And then somebody's about to ask a question. He's like, you fucking dummies. And we're like, who the hell says that? Like,
I used
what
to
a
do
weird
like a
thing.
caricature of Mike Goldberg.
Oh,
Mike
God.
Gold, like, cause he sounds like Yoda.
Yeah.
To be like an excellent fighter, he is like that. Like
That's a good bit.
a
That's pretty
master
good.
of jiu-jitsu, he might be
So
a black belt under Jorge Gurgel. Like everything is like Captain Kirk all over the place, you know. And that's just kind of how I pictured him when I was younger too. So I get what you're saying about caricatures.
I used to do a thing where I would read Green Eggs and Ham as Mike Goldberg. Like, he wouldn't go there. He wouldn't go stare. Coming up next, and I would do that. But now my new thing is like I'm obsessed with John Anik voice because it's all nasal.
Yeah.
So anytime you do like anything, it goes, and he's coming up next. He's got a punch that's just like Motel 6. Motel 6 will leave the light on. And I always think to myself, like, someone needs to just put a nasal flow and release a little bit of that fluid that's in here with Anarchy.
It's like Michael Chavello.
Mm-hmm.
You know Michael Chavello, like the Goodnight Irene, got more punch than a high school prom. He's taking more leather to the face than a patient at the Blue Oyster Bar. Like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like all the cheesy one-liners is like.
So here,
so funny to me.
Let's get back to your video games because I have a vested interest in this, and I'll tell you why. So you're saying that you have had this love of video games. You say you play. I want to see if I heard this right. You play at a semi-professional level or a professional level? Like, what does that mean?
I'm no esports player, but like I just play. 'Cause I like improving in something. It's like you can see if you're getting better. I like getting better at things. That's like my thing. I like being good at a wide range of things, and video games just happens to be one of them. I just play with my friends. Like I like entering tournaments if they're around, and if I don't have a class or if I don't have a tournament that day, I'll just go and I'll have fun and I'll play. Yeah, I'll try to win. I still get competitive. I still want to win.
Yeah, no.
But if I don't win, it's not like I lost a jiu-jitsu tournament. I'm like, dang it, here's where I gotta go. I gotta go back. I'm not like, anime, put the glasses on, and then I'm like, what did I do wrong? It's not like that. It's just kind of like, it's like, okay, I can just go back and play again. I don't have a vested interest in
Do
like
me a
getting better at
solid.
video games.
In 2 weeks, go back and watch this whole interview and then just watch it from my perspective and see if you don't understand why I'm laughing half of the time that I am.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think I laugh at myself, man. Like,
Okay, good. Because you keep looking at me like, why are you laughing at that? And I'm like, because you're
before
literally...
you were laughing like as I was explaining something serious, and I think it was just because of how I explain things is just kind of funny sometimes.
What you're doing is you're transitioning more than Jim Carrey in The Mask from one character to another as you like go from exposition to embodiment of character. And I'm always like, wait, where did this come? Who is this? Why is this happening? So again, it's very entertaining to me. The reason I ask this is because one of the things of the Grappling Hour that I'm looking to do in the future, and I'm just curious, is I just have this theory. I just want to see if, guys who do jiu-jitsu are as competitive in video games as they are when they compete on the big stage. Because there's a nice little barcade that just opened up next to me over this way. And I went there, and there's a couple of these arcades that have over 100 or 1,000 games on them. And we're talking like the Street Fighters, we're talking the Mortal Kombats, we're talking all these different games where I just said like, I really need to get some of these athletes off the mats and maybe competing. So if there was a right day or time, maybe you make a visit to California for some reason, would you be interested in said
I would
competition?
Absolutely destroy you in any video game you play.
Oh, it's not me. No. See,
Okay, sorry. Well,
I know
whoever
that for
else
sure.
you bring out here for me, money match me. I will easy wins.
Whoa, money match. No. You do jiu-jitsu. We don't have money.
Whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, that's the
whatever.
joke. I will, this is a formal challenge to any Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt out there. See me at the Cade, and you'll get this work. You don't want this smoke, because
Okay.
I'm a video game great. I'm just okay. I'm just really good at Street Fighter, I guess. I mean, it'd be fun. Let's do it.
Okay.
I'll come down to California. I'll go down to the barcade or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't quite like said like it has to be out of this place. In fact, they just opened up, and I literally have made like 2 appearances just to like play a couple games, so that I could be like, haha, idiots! In the future, I'm going to ask you to do this. You don't know that, but I know that. And it's one of those things where I've just been so interested because I see so many of you guys. I know the pressure that comes along with this very, very difficult profession. That so many people like keeping their coordination up, while at the same time saying like, you know what, I need to not be thinking about jiu-jitsu for maybe an hour or 2.
That's pretty much what it's like. It's just I just really enjoy it. I've always enjoyed it since I was a kid. I like to think that off the mat, I'm a human being. I'm a 21-year-old dude. You know what I mean?
On the mat, you're still a human being too, just to be.
What I mean is like on the mat, I like it's jiu-jitsu is a part of who I am. But jiu-jitsu is like what I like to do the most, and I enter a certain mode of thought when I'm doing jiu-jitsu. Like, yes, I very much enjoy what I'm doing, but I'm focusing. I know that what I'm doing is for a big goal. It's because I love to do what I do. And then when I'm off the mat, it's almost like you take off the superhero's cape and he's Clark Kent again. You know what I mean? Like, what does Clark Kent do when he's not Superman? He has to go and get a bagel from the store or whatever. I don't know what Superman does in his spare time, but you get what I'm saying? He has to do normal people things. So,
yeah, Superman's got to go to the grocery store. He's got to pick up. He's got to pay rent. You know, all the boring things.
Exactly. So like I gotta play video games every now and again. I have to go do chores. I have to put gas in my car. I have to go to get the oil changed and everything like that. I think that it's interesting, and I like that you're gonna highlight like a little bit of like the humanity of a jiu-jitsu athlete as far as like and that's super cool. I actually have had the same aspirations and ideas. I think it's very interesting to find out who a person is. Like what we are can be broken down to like just mindless metal chasing machines, but really we're all human beings. We all have our own struggles. We all have stuff that bothers us. There could be a reason that takes us out of jiu-jitsu, and you got to be like, man, this person, it's hard to believe that they're dealing with this, or it's hard to see what we could be dealing with as people. But I love finding that thing out about people. That's why I try to talk to people at tournaments, like I said before. I try to find out things because I love people, and I like finding out. Like Ronaldo and me did not get off to a good start. We just always didn't like talk, and I tried to talk to him and he'd be like rude and kind of serious, and I'd be like, all right, well, we're cool, I guess. And then eventually I broke through to him and now we're friendly. So I was like, I knew my friendship would work eventually.
Idiot. I knew my friendship and niceness would come through and eventually break down your posterior. I don't know, man. For me, I have this thing where my end goal for this is to get jiu-jitsu to end up on a cable sports show. Like, I want to talk about big matchups in the same way that ESPN talks about the Super Bowl for 6 weeks. Like, you can't tell me that we can't spend 1 week talking about something jiu-jitsu as you guys are like, I don't know, is Tom Brady going to do it? And it's like, it's the same goddamn show every day. Mm-hmm. Oh, what did LeBron do today? And it's like, listen, I know we have those shortcomings when it's like, what's Gordon saying today? Like, I get that. But I know, having worked in TV, how you can do it that gives equal time to other people. You just have to sometimes bring it out of them. And so it's really funny because I don't know that people... Of course, people who know you are saying, have him do impressions, have him do stuff. And obviously, it's very entertaining. But you also interacting with people is down in the bullpen. It's not always outside. It's not cast to everybody. So I get excited when I'm like, yeah, dude, hey, kid, you do impressions? Come on, make with the funny. Let's go. And then you sit there and you go, hey. And you know, it's one of my favorite things is I'll tell people I'm a comic, and they go, tell me a joke. And I'm like, no, pay me.
Not how it works.
You know what I do? I get paid to tell jokes. Are you going to pay me? Otherwise, you're going to get fucking stories. And if you get stories...
What would they do, or what would you do if they were like, boom, whipped out a 10? And you're like, oh.
I'd be like, hey, you know, it's a great crowd, everybody. I just want to tell you guys, this is, oh, man. This is my first time performing on the streets for you guys. Great crowd.
Playing food. About it.
What do you guys think about Christopher Walken? It's crazy, right? He's got a crazy look to him. No, I mean, there's a certain thing where the way that you guys have trained to be athletes is the way I've trained to be a performer. So it doesn't take much. It's just you read the audience, you see what they want, and then you learn how to sometimes be a host or an MC, or you learn how to do, you know, some bits that you've worked on. And just like when you were talking about Superman, I just thought, like, I couldn't help but think, What if Superman broke his rule and actually told his landlord that he was Superman because Daily Planet was starting to run out of money because, the yikes journalism right now. And
like landlord's beating down on his door and Superman just like,
he's just
Larry, listen. Dude, I don't have your rent, okay? I'm gonna level with you for just a second, all right? It's gonna sound crazy. I'm Superman, all right? I can't give you your rent every single month just because you think I'm working for the Daily Planet. I am a superhero. You're very
all right. I've heard. You've told me a million times, Clark. I know. Okay, fine.
It's like he's always has a superhero voice where he's like, you don't understand. I am Superman.
Yeah. Superman can pay at least $1,500 in rent each month. Okay, bye. I just like the fact that when I thought about it, all you're talking about is Superman being like, oh no, he keeps his identity. I was like, but what if he just told his landlord, like, hey dude, I know I'm a little behind this week, but Doomsday was here, and you know how that goes. I didn't have any sick days. It got really bad. And so you come up with stuff where you just say, like, that's fun. Or you give the ball to somebody else and you say, like, hey, I'm going to come up with the idea, and then you run with it, and then you kind of, like, support and you do stuff like that. So to me, it's always, like, that's the fun in it, is if you can both be support and lead, then you create a scene, then you create fun, and you do stuff like that. So yeah.
Well, this is all really good advice for me because I mean I'm really interested in all this stuff too. I think it's gonna something I want to get into eventually as well. You know what I mean? Being unique, like I want to leave like a unique legacy for myself as not just being someone who was a competitor, but also as like someone like you who's doing other things with the sport, bigger things outside the mats. Like, man, I want to do that too. I really do.
Well, maybe we'll keep this in mind. Maybe we'll bring you in as a consultant of some sort. Well, we always have fun things that we do on this show. So, but one of the things is I've been inching closer to getting people, and I've put people. I put out like requests and saying like who would be interested in playing video games against each other, and I had some people message me and said I would be down, but I'm not calling out anybody because shit might get real. And I was like, that's the whole point, though. I wanted to get.
It's a video game. How's it gonna get real?
Nah, dog. You have what I have, which is, it's part of the reason why I know I'm not hyper competitive. Is that in the jiu-jitsu context? Is I just kind of go like, oh, did you get me? Or did I get you? Like no big deal to me. But for people in jiu-jitsu who sometimes are like hyper focused and must kill, even on and off both highly competitive mats, those are the insane competitors who, when they play a video game, are like. Fine. Chung Lee, just go ahead and get me in a corner and just kick me all over. Fine. That's fine. That's all you know how to do. Just press buttons. All you're doing is mashing buttons. You don't know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. So I find
I get like that too, but it takes a minute. Like, I'm not going to just immediately be like, run it again. I'm not do it again. I'm not going to get all upset. But I mean, like, I am that way. I'm super competitive.
Sure.
But it's healthy because, like, in jiu-jitsu, it's like I know that I'm going to do it again tomorrow. So, like, I'm going to work even harder. I'm going to get you next time. You know what I mean? But with video games, if I play someone, I'm gonna do everything in my power to win. If I lose, and I didn't lose by some cheap BS, like Chun-Li getting me a corner, I will full parry it. Just kidding. But I will do my absolute best. I would and I would call somebody out for sure.
Okay. You don't have anybody you'd call out right now?
Keenan Cornelius.
Who?
Keenan Cornelius.
You think you'd do it?
I think I'd beat Keenan Cornelius in any fighting game.
Whoa. Any fighting game?
Keenan Cornelius, challenge me Street Fighter 5. Boom.
Okay,
Street Fighter 5.
Wow.
Keenan Cornelius versus me, Street Fighter 5. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. I like where this is going. This is going to be solid. I like, the boldness of it, man. And what I really want to get to, and I haven't gotten here yet, is Second Chance Theater, which is, I feel like, I can't tell if I want the medal that they win in jiu-jitsu to be up for grabs in here, or if I want to do what I call third place real, when they have an IBJJF and you get like 2 third places, is like call them up afterwards and be like, all right guys, only one medal now. And they have to fight for it there.
It's like they have to fight for it on the video game.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be funny.
Yeah. So
what do they have to agree on though?
I think the current version of it I have is, especially when you have like a game that has like 1,000 games in it, is I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have each of the guys pick one game, and if they tie, I pick the game.
Ooh, okay. So best out of three.
Best out of three.
All right.
So
okay,
that's what we got going on. All right, listen, kid. I know you've got to get on over to go teach right now, and I'm very excited for that. But I know that this has been a fascinating conversation that's taken us a lot of different places that I have not expected. But I think that's only a true testament.
I wasn't ready for this either, but glad it worked out.
But I think it's a true testament to the fact that you have a shining personality and one that is only just really starting to emerge as a black belt. Like, the best part is you're going to have years and years and years as a black belt. So we very much get the benefit of watching you compete for years and years to come. So if people are looking to train with you, or maybe, I don't know, seminars, stuff like that, where can they find you, and what's the best way to get in contact with you, man?
My Instagram is JakeWatson_BJJ. You do that, JakeWatson_BJJ, all lowercase, no capitals. I don't think you're allowed to do that on Instagram. You can contact me there. My email is jakewatson.bjj@gmail.com. Also, no capitals. I'm not going to give you my phone number unless you are an attractive female. I'm just kidding. But
smooth.
That's basically
real smooth there, kid.
Let's move on. 2 places that you can contact me: Instagram or email. And that's pretty much where I get most of my messages from. I really appreciate all the support to everybody who already follows me there, who may be watching. I just really like what I do. I appreciate you also being someone who's genuine and made it easy, because I was admittedly nervous, but like I was like, as soon as you just like, hey bro, I was like, oh okay, this guy's chill. You know what I mean? Like, I've been interviewed before when I was like 15. I got interviewed for some MMA thing, and they were like, Jake Watson, my name is Chris Herrera. I'm like, oh god, he's talking in the man voice. You know what I mean?
Well, yes, I also have a man voice.
I just like a man. No, man, not a man.
I think of it like this. Again, in learning how to perform, you do know how to do the broadcaster voice, and that's always like, hey, Jake, tell me a little bit about you, buddy. You have a promising career, and you're just starting right now. I've been told you love open guard. Tell me about that. It's not quite the same as being like, well, hey, listen, I'm coming into your guys' homes. I don't know if you're watching this next week, 2 years from now. I don't know if you got this pirated from somewhere. Wherever it is, I want you to feel like if you missed it live, that you're still part of the conversation. So that's very important to me. So I appreciate that. Sir Jake, we will obviously have you back in the future, and I very much look forward to trying to instigate the match between you and Keenan Cornelius, because I feel like that's a real super fight to make happen now.
Remember, Street Fighter 5, all right? I play with a fight stick. I don't play with no controller. And he can choose whatever character he wants. He can pick any stage. He can pick any time. And I'll be glad to beat him in Street Fighter 5.
Wow. That's some real sub-only rules, everybody.
And he's cool. Me and him are cool. Like,
no, I figured
no
that.
problem with him as a person. I just want to beat him up in Street Fighter.
I'm pretty sure he's competitive enough where he might be like, I didn't want to, but now I might need to. Right. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Jake for coming in today. I also want to thank you guys for watching. So here's the deal. This week, you got to do a few things. One, if you're not following us at Grappling Hour, do it on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, and on YouTube. Subscribe. And more importantly, if you guys are interested, we're doing our profile on all the 80s